she'd moved into that place, and then after hoarding a few months' worth of rent, she had finally worked up the courage to quit. Her father had been... She wouldn't go so far as to say he'd been disappointed. John Thompson never had a harsh word for anyone. He was all kind eyes and deep conviction, the type of goodness Hayley could only marvel at, that made her feel as though she could never quite measure up. But she could tell her father had been confused, and she hadn't been able to explain herself, not fully, because she didn't want either of her parents to know that ultimately this little journey of independence would lead straight out of Copper Ridge. She had to get out of the fishbowl. She needed people to stop tapping on her glass. Virtue wasn't its own reward. For years she'd believed it would be. But then, suddenly, watching Ace at the dinner table at her parents' house with his family, she'd realized the strange knot in her stomach wasn't anger over his abandonment, over the way he'd embarrassed their parents with his behavior. It was envy. Envy of all he had, of his freedom. Well, this was her chance to have some of that for herself, and she couldn't do it with everyone watching. She took a deep breath and regarded the house in front of her. If she didn't know it was the home and office of the owner of Gray Bear Construction, she would be tempted to assume it was some kind of resort. The expansive front porch was made entirely out of logs, stained with a glossy, honey-colored sheen that caught the light and made the place look like it was glowing. The green metal roof was designed to withstand harsh weather, which down in town by the beach wasn't much of an issue. But a few miles inland, here in the mountains, she could imagine there was snow in winter. She wondered if she would need chains for her car, but she supposed she'd cross that bridge when she came to it. It was early spring, and she didn't even have the job yet. Getting the job, and keeping it through winter, was only a pipe dream at this point. She took a deep breath and started up the path, the bark-laden ground soft beneath her feet. She inhaled deeply, the sharp scent of pine filling her lungs. It was cool beneath the trees, and she wrapped her arms around herself as she walked up the steps and made her way to the front door. She knocked before she had a chance to rethink her actions, and then she waited. She was just about to knock again when she heard footsteps. She quickly put her hand down at her side, then lifted it again, brushing her hair out of her face. Then she clasped her hands in front of her, then put them back at her sides again. Then she decided to hold them in front of her again. She had just settled on that position when the door jerked open. She had rehearsed her opening remarks, had practiced making a natural smile in the mirror, which was easy after so many years manning the front desk of a church. But all that disappeared completely when she looked at the man standing in front of her. He was nothing like she'd expected, which left her grappling for what exactly she had been expecting. Somebody older, certainly not somebody who towered over her like a redwood. Jonathan Bear wasn't someone you could anticipate. His dark, glittering eyes assessed her, his mouth pressed into a thin line. His black hair was tied back, but it was impossible for her to tell just how long it was from where she stood. "Who are you?" he asked, his tone uncompromising. "I'm here to interview for the assistant position. Were you expecting someone else?" Her stomach twisted with anxiety. He wasn't what she had expected, and now she was wondering if she was what he had expected. Maybe he wanted somebody older, with more qualifications, or somebody more, sexy secretary than former church secretary. Though she looked very nice in this twin set and pencil skirt, if she said so herself. "No," he said, moving away from the door. "Come in." "Oh," she said, scampering to follow his direction. "The office is upstairs," he said, taking great strides through the entryway and heading toward a massive curved staircase. She found herself taking very quick steps to try and keep up with him, and it was difficult to do that while she was distracted by the beauty of the house. She was trying to take in all the details as she trailed behind him up the stairs.